Okay, one day after the big Blackberry shutdown, I'm sure everybody's heard of that and nobody really cares, right? But there's still a lot of those old devices that are still out there that work, and I have a bunch from work and other stuff when I used to use them. Let's just see what features, if any, are still working.
Well, today we're going to have some fun here in the lab. It's January 5th, the day after the big Blackberry shutdown, and I have a collection of Blackberries here going back a number of years. Many of these were work devices. These ones here were work devices. I think that one was a work device too. And these two are my personal phones. Now, this one guaranteed is still working. Guaranteed. Because this was the Priv, which was the first Android phone. And this phone still works. I just don't use it because it's old. And I'm using a Samsung now. But I actually liked that phone. It was a great phone, had a great camera on it, and it did have that keyboard on it. A couple little quirks, but the battery was starting to give out on it. But I got my Samsung phone a few years ago and basically retired this one as the spare. This one's my old Z30. This one won't even turn on because the battery is, well, you can see it's puffed up on the back here. The battery is shot on this one. This one will not turn on. But these other devices, I'm hoping will. I'm just charging some of these up here. This one's already on. That one's running. This one here is also, I think, running. No, it's not. This one's running. This one's on. And we'll see whether we can make anything work on these. I'm going to try and get BBM to run because they've all got oh, this one just fired up. I plugged this one in. This one's just started up. So we'll see whether any of these phones will still connect now that it's been a day after BlackBerry has shut their services down. I'm curious to see whether I can still make a connection, and I'm just going to try a BBM connection between the different devices and see whether I can actually connect them and communicate, because they've told me that everything's shut down now. So let's see whether it is or not. Gee, it's been so long since I've used this phone. I was pressing this button here trying to turn it on, and then I just realized the power button's right there. Shows how long it's been since I've actually turned that phone on. So I'm just going to give these other ones a few minutes to charge up a bit, and then we'll see what they can do. Whether I can still turn them on and whether they'll still connect. As I say, I have no qualms this one here is going to work. It just doesn't have a SIM card in it now, but it would. If I put a SIM card in, this one here would work fully because it's an Android phone. So nothing's changed on this one. Now this one is on. We'll watch this one go through its boot up state. This one was kind of cool the way that this phone booted up because this was their first Android device. And it had a lot of firsts before anybody else had it. Like, I had tap payment on this over a year before it was offered on any other platform. Nobody else had it. I could walk into a store that accepted tap payment, like from a credit card, and I could use this. No other phone had it at the time, and BlackBerry had it like a year before anybody else on this phone. This one has it. Everything's up and running here. Oh look, my BBM is still running on this too. Well, one thing I didn't expect was on the Android version that I would not be able to connect, but that's exactly what's happening. On here I tried to launch my BlackBerry Messenger and I get a message telling me that I'm not connected and to try connecting to a Wi-Fi network. The thing is, I'm on a Wi-Fi network. If I open something else such as Chrome, I can bring up Google. If I open up YouTube, my YouTube app is not up to date on here, so I can't even launch the YouTube app. But if I try going to YouTube directly,
Oops. What did I do there? If I want to search out, say, one of my own videos, I can do it this way here. It's easier to do it from the So what I liked about this phone, it had the original keyboard that you could just pop out. That was a cool feature of the Priv. Oh look, I can play my videos. So we know that this is going to work.
Today I have a little Pioneer receiver that was brought in from one of my customers to check it out. He hasn't used this thing in a long time.
Nice screen on this, nice big screen.
So we're going to put this one through his paces, give it a clean up, and check it out. Today I have a little Pioneer SX434 receiver. Know nothing about it. Fellow that brought it to me says he's had it in storage for a while. He hasn't turned it on.
But when I try to launch Messenger, Blackberry Messenger, which is the messenger that I've used for many years, I just get this message that I can't connect. I can't sign into it. I also can't sign into my my Google account because it's set up to a different email address, which I haven't configured on this phone. I'm sure if I went and reconfigured my email on here, I could probably sign in, but I can't right now. So this one is it's a work in progress to see whether I can get my Blackberry Messenger to sign in again on this phone. Let's try one of the other ones. Let's see if I can well, I even forget the model number of this piece of junk. Please confirm the date. Oh look, the date has gone back to July 22nd, 2016. That's because it can't reach the server anymore. So what all I can do on this is set the date manually. Because it's not going to connect, the server is shut down. Either that or I'm not connected. I'll turn on Wi-Fi, that might help. Let's just see whether I can connect to my Wi-Fi.
From what I gather, they killed all the BBOS systems yesterday, and then they hit BlackBerry 10 today.
Okay, I've now connected it to my oh, you're attempting to open a secure connection, but the server certificate has expired. Continue. Network time not available. So basically, what I guess it's not connecting to BlackBerry's server anymore because they've shut it down, and now I have to set it manually. Geez, it's been so long since I've used this phone, I forget how to use it. TuneIn Radio. I wonder if that still works. I guess we could try TuneIn Radio and see whether TuneIn Radio will operate. Let's see here. Music. Will TuneIn Radio still work? Let's try to get it to go to relaxingjazz.com. Will it play? I hear something. Where's the volume on this thing? Hey, it's still playing. So I can play music on it. Well, it's not totally dead. It's just mostly dead. So that works. What else can I do on this thing? It's been so long since I've used this stupid phone. I totally forget how to work it. Applications. Where's BBM? Will that work? Will BlackBerry Messenger work? I'm curious whether it will sign in there. BlackBerry Messenger. Will it work? Okay, I'm looking at this thing here. It says invite. It says Dad is currently unavailable. Oh, that would be me. My son had this phone. He had this recycled phone. So he was the last one to use this one. This is the message I get if I try to update anything. Sorry, the server is unavailable. Please try again. Well, it's unavailable and it's never going to be available. That this phone, I think, is we can consider this one to be totally dead and can no longer ever be used, other than playing things like tune-in radio or anything that might already be on the phone. It's not going to do any updates. It says it needs to update, but the update server is not available. So, and the date, as you can see, has gone back to Friday, July 22nd, 2016. For whatever reason, the date has changed back. At least there it did. Now it's showing the correct date though. But yeah, I can't get anything. I can't invite. I send an invite. I scan the PIN code on my phone, and this one does not work. Does the browser work on this one? Let's see if the browser works. Let's just see whether I can do anything. I know the browser works on the Priv. Will the browser work on this one? Probably not, but we'll see. Doesn't look like it's going to open up YouTube either, does it? Let's do a Google. We'll look up BlackBerry, because that seems to be the thing of the day here we're talking about. See whether anything will pop up in Google. Shop BlackBerry. Wonderful. Oh look, I get ads for BlackBerry. Are you kidding? Somebody's trying to sell a BlackBerry Curve. Today, after BlackBerry is shut down, they're asking $199 on Amazon. Are you kidding me? A BlackBerry 9360 unlocked. Oh, there it is. It's loaded. And there's only one left in stock. Are you kidding me? I think that one that's left in stock will remain left in stock. Back to my Priv. Well, at least I can update my apps on this one, because this being an Android phone, technically shouldn't have any problems, although I was unable to log into BBM on it. I'm still working to figure that one out, because technically this phone should be still fully functional, as it's even though they don't support this old version anymore, it should still be functional because it is an Android phone, and the shutdown was only supposed to affect the old BlackBerry phones. But we're going to see if we can get these other ones to communicate momentarily. This one's my old Z30. I actually have a Z10 as well, I just don't have it here. I've had this thing charging all night. And, oh, what do you know? It might actually turn on now. Well, that's interesting. Neat thing about these old BlackBerry 10 phones was if you just tapped on the screen, it would tell you what percentage it was on its boot up. What do you know? This one's actually started. Let's see what apps work on this one. What I can log into. I'm connected to Wi-Fi. We'll try TuneIn Radio and see whether TuneIn Radio will work on this one. It should, as after all it works on an even older one, but let's see here. Now the strange thing that happens here is I don't have any connection. I'm connected to Wi-Fi, but I cannot get in on the router. And it threw me for a while. It's not a problem with the phone.
somehow my router's got me locked out, because when I tried later connecting to a different router, it actually worked. So I'm going to cut all this part out, because I spent a whole bunch of time trying to figure out why this wasn't working, and for some reason my router wouldn't let me log in.
Let's just see whether the browser will work on this one. Well, let's see if speed test will work first of all. The speed test wasn't working on this one. Okay, this one's still working. This is the old speed test. For those of you that didn't, it's on. Cannot reach the host name. Try again. Can't reach google.com. This one's not doing anything, but this one's still working, which is interesting as to why this one's not. Yeah, my download speed is actually a lot faster than that. This phone is limited to 2.4 gigahertz, or yeah, 2.4 gigahertz band. So one thing that people with the old Ookla, people didn't maybe not remember this because it's not on the new one. So I'll show you the little Easter egg if you didn't know. If you grab the scale and slid it down, oops, we got the cat. Ookla has two modes: attack and wait to attack. He cannot be contained. Try and you will bleed. He can't be groomed. Try it and you will bleed. Failed grooming attempts. So the cat died in 2013. We don't like to think of it as death. Instead, Ookla has reached his final form. Now he only has one mode. Haunt. Are you safe? And then, nope. And that's all it does. That's the Easter egg. It'll just do that forever. That was only on this old version of speed test, but it still works on this phone. And interestingly, BBM, even though I try to, I bring it up and it asks me to log in, which I can't log in. If I click cancel 3 times, then BBM is there. And if I go and I send a message, I've got it set up to go to my other phone here. If I set it up, if I send a message, test, it should show up on this phone.
Well, it was at 9 o'clock this morning, but by the time I shot this video, they had shut down the Blackberry 10 server, so it no longer works.
On the Z30, I just tried to open up BBM on that, and I'm getting a message telling me it's an old version and it needs to be updated. Guess what? It's not going to update, but that's okay because they finally shut the server down for the old Blackberry stuff. BBM Enterprise still works, which is Android and iOS. Use that all the time. That's my main messenger. In fact, that's my only messenger. I don't use like Facebook Messenger or any of those others. The only messenger that I actually use is BlackBerry Enterprise, which is a paid service. All my friends that I chat with on a regular basis are all on that platform, so that's the one that I use. I don't bother with the others. In fact, I think I used Facebook Messenger once to chat with an old friend on New Year's Eve that I haven't talked to in years, and that's the first time I've ever opened it, and I haven't opened it since. And it wasn't even on my phone that I was using it on. Anyway, yeah, it looks like this is dead. If I try to bring up BlackBerry Messenger on this phone, it just gives me a message that says it asks me for my password, which is obviously not going to work. And yeah, I put my password in. It doesn't even verify. So they've shut that whole BlackBerry ID server down now. It was still running. This was running this morning on the 5th here, but they've now since pulled the plug. They were just a little slow. All the news media reports were that it was going to go down yesterday, and I think everybody was sitting there like, wow, it didn't go down. But it looks like it has gone down now, so rip BlackBerry, your days are done. So this one here I'll never be able to run again, other than for things like, well, tune-in radio and stuff, right? See if I try to open it, I'll just sit there. Nothing is opening. One thing I was successfully able to do between two BlackBerry 10s was to add my PIN number to it, but as you can see, I can't send a message. That message should come up on this phone, but it's not. No chats active. Contact is there. It says I'm available, but I can't. I can't scan it in. I've scanned it in once or twice here, and I can never accept it. I accept it, but it doesn't respond on the other phone. We'll try the old Bold and see whether this one will play from TuneIn. And this one still works from TuneIn Radio, but I can't get anything else to work on this one. Everything else seems to be shut. Now, what's funny here on my old Priv is that this being an Android device, it wants to verify that it's me, but when I try to log in, it's got my old email address, and I can't change it. It won't let me change the email address that's on here. It says, I guess I could try to recover it. I can go to it says to recover your email, go open your browser and go to g.co/recover. Maybe I'll try that. Well, I don't understand what's going wrong with the Priv, which is the Android version, because every time I try to connect it, I get a message telling me that I need to connect to Wi-Fi, which I am. Cannot connect my BBM, so it must be that they've shut down the server on that, and it's just not going to work. I can bring up I can't log into YouTube because it's telling me I'm using the wrong account, but I can bring up Chrome and I can access YouTube. So I've got connectivity, but I cannot get into. Oh, there's one of my videos right there. Can't get into BBM on this. And the other ones now all appear to have been shut down. They were working earlier. I could send messages from one to the other, and I could even send it into my Samsung, and I was chatting back and forth no problem. But now these ones all appear to have been shut down too. The old Z30, I can't log into anything on that either. Anything, like nothing works on this one. I can't do a speed test. I can't bring up TuneIn Radio, can't bring up jazzradio.com. It just sits there connecting like there's no connection, but it is connected. At least I can still play Pac-Man on this one. Oh well, I guess that about does it. Rest in peace, BlackBerry. Your days are done. Okay, I got a connection this time. Different router. So maybe I'll be able to get something to work on this phone. And Should be going way faster than that, but the signal's not that strong where I am. I'm on a 5 gigahertz router, but this one does the same. It's got the same old version on here. Someone had a sense of humor. When they said that that Ookla has moved on, I wondered if is it the cat or is it the company? That we'll never know. Because the new speed test looks totally different than that. So it may be that the company itself also moved on and changed hands. Now that that part's working, let's just see whether I can log into anything else on here, like YouTube. Will YouTube work now that I've got the connection back? Oh, look at that. Looks like this one's going to work now. Hopefully, fingers crossed, the Z30 is going to work again. At least for some things. Let's check out, see if I can search out my channel. And there's my channel, so that is now working again. I always liked this phone for listening to radio and stuff because it had stereo speakers in it. So just for listening, in the background, it was always nice. Let's see whether I used to use this radio a lot for listening to the radio on. There's the one I normally pick up. Let's see if it'll pull this one in. What? Unable to find a supported audio player. It should still play. And it does. So that works. So, don't know why that wasn't working before. I guess it just wasn't. It wasn't playing well with my router, but it looks like this one's still working, at least for those apps. To say the battery in this one is not very good shape, as you can see. It's starting to split. The screen is splitting. The battery is puffed up on this one. Well, considering I've wasted the entire day today either fiddling around with old obsolete Blackberries or playing records on my old phonograph that I got the new needles for. I was going through some of my collection of 78s. I actually have some 78s that are very collectible. Some Benny Goodman and Henry Mancini and so forth. Bing Crosby got White Christmas on 78, and Frank Sinatra, so forth. So I've been playing around with that. Went through a couple of needles. Those steel needles don't last very long. I figured this one here, I think the biggest problem I've got with this phone is turning it on because the power button won't press because the battery has swelled up on this one. It still works, but the phone works. It works for non-BlackBerry services. Like I can open up my my file explorer. I can use it as a music player. I can use it as a radio with TuneIn. But the problem is getting it to turn on because the power button is in such bad shape. And of course, getting it to turn off, you can't turn off it until the battery goes flat because the power button's not working. So I thought maybe, just maybe, I could open this thing up and make that battery a little bit more service friendly. Let's just say we'll try to relieve some of the pressure that's in the battery. I've got my service screws here. I just have to find the right one to open this up. I've got all these little micro bits, so let's find the one that works with this. Looks like a mini Torx. Let's see if I can find the right one that will open this thing up. Is that the one? No. That one I think is too small. Maybe that is the one. Talk about small screws. This thing's got ridiculously small screws.
Now, I've never taken apart a BlackBerry before, not one of these, So I have no idea how to get this thing open other than it's got screws in it.
It's too big.
But I'm going to do what you should never do. Poke a lithium battery with a pin.
I figure if I can let the gas out of the battery so that it goes back to a more normal size, that maybe some of the buttons will actually start to work. Not that the thing is any use other than, as I say, as a media type player. And that's typically what I've used these things for, is just to play back media from either an SD card or stream. That's about all I've used these old Blackberry 10 units for, because they have a really nice music player, nicer than a lot of the stuff that's found on the Android phones, for example. So let me crack this thing open. Wouldn't you know, for one screw only, they've got one that has the security pin on it. So you need the bit with the hole in it for one screw. Okay, I've got the screws out now. Let's see if I can pop this thing apart. Oh, maybe there's some clips that have to be released. There's a couple of clips here that have to be popped. Is that put it up? I don't know. Looks like little clips of some type on here. Yeah, I think that takes the screen off. That's what it does. It takes the screen off. You can see this connector's already almost popped apart. That's really different, you know, from the way that most smartphones are put together. This is kind of put together the opposite way. Lift off those clips. How they and the board lifts out like that. And here's the battery down below. That's all puffed up. It says don't puncture. You think? Don't puncture the battery. Camera. I'm gonna lift this battery out of here if I can, without puncturing it, hopefully. I get nervous when I'm anywhere around lithium batteries for obvious reasons. Just they scare the living daylights out of me, especially when they're glued in like this one is. And what I really want to do is I want to just release the pressure on this thing so that it can, so that the unit can go back together without the, without it pushing the unit apart. And that usually involves using a pin to poke a little tiny hole in the jacket, but obviously I'm not going to do that around here. I'll take that outside, do it outside, so that if the battery decides it's going to go nuclear, at least it's not going to burn the place to the ground. There's the little buzzer for it to make it vibrate. You know, the dust that got in this thing, even though this might, well, I mean, this phone was used for a long time. I had this phone for years. Lithium ion polymer rechargeable battery. And it still holds a charge. It's just when it swelled up like this, you couldn't push the power button because it separated this connector. This connector is where the power button connects. That got separated from the board because it pushed the circuit board up and popped the connectors apart. Okay, what I just did was extremely dangerous and kind of stupid, and I didn't show you guys how to do it because I don't want to be responsible if someone sets themselves on fire. These lithium battery packs, if you stab them and short the internal plates together, you will get you'll get a short, cause a fire, and the battery will basically burst into flames, and you'll have an out of control fire that you basically have to dump gallons and gallons and gallons of water on to try to put it out. Very dangerous to work with any of these lithium polymer batteries, but what I did was the outside bag had gas that escaped from the cell built up in it, which puffed the battery out. If you poke a little tiny hole, I did it right there, little pin prick. Right there, I used that. I did it by squeezing the cell so that I had a bulge, and then I could just go in kind of sideways like that, so that I'm not gonna stab the battery pack, and then you get all the gas out of it. The battery pack goes back to its normal size, and then of course we want to make sure that moisture doesn't get in there, so we'll just put some tape over top of this thing. And I've done this before on batteries that have puffed up, and they've worked fine for a long time. So piece of tape over that'll keep any moisture from getting into the battery. At least now I can put the phone back together and it will operate, even though I'm not going to use it as a phone. It's just still nice to be able to use it if I needed to. I've got some pictures and stuff on here. I have on this phone here one of the last pictures of my mother before she went into a care home, when she was around. She was out going for a walk in her neighborhood when the Google Street View came by. And there's a picture of her standing at the side of the road with her walker. Now, they've blurred her face because that's what they did. They blurred everybody's face, but I know who it is. It was right in front of her house. So it's kind of cool that I've got a picture, and I've got it saved on this phone. And I have no way to access it other than maybe bring it up on the screen and take a picture of it, because I can't access the files anymore because, of course, now it's shut down. So it's there forever. It's the only picture from Google. Can't get it off Street View now because, of course, they've updated everything since then. But that's one of the things. But I wanted to try to keep this thing, just for nostalgia. I kind of like to keep the old Blackberries running if I can, because they were a Canadian icon. They were what started the smartphone. I know the Apple fanboys are going to say it was the iPhone, but it wasn't. The first smartphone was Blackberry. I think everybody knows that, but they had the first smartphone was a Blackberry. Now I just got to put this thing back together if I remember how it goes, and try not to break everything while I'm doing it. Battery contacts are right here. They make contact with the circuit board. So let's see if I can reverse this and get it together and actually have it turn on. Make the buttons sit in like this. They lock into the bottom here first, like this. Okay, now I'll set the board in. Now hopefully it will go back together a little easier now that I've taken it apart a couple of times. Put the board in place, drop it in, get the two connectors out of the way, and let the board drop in.
reseat my connectors. That will now pop in properly because the battery is not pushing the board forward. And this last one. And now, drop the front on. So it goes in like this. Like that. And with a little luck, you put the screws back in, it will turn on. Okay, I've got the screws all back in. It's no longer all puffed up and bulged out like it was before. Let's just see if it will turn on when I press the power button. I think it will. Let's let it boot up, see whether I can access anything. I know all the Blackberry services are down, but hey, I should be able to access all my other network stuff on here still. Fingers crossed. So it's booting up. If you tap the screen, it tells me the percentage it's at. So we'll let it boot up, see if I can access music and stuff off the like radio stations and so forth off of my radio apps and so forth. Might take this a bit to boot up because it's a well, this might be a native app. These could run Android apps, right? You could sideload them with Android apps and put APKs on them, and they could run Android apps that were compiled to run under Blackberry. Music. I'll just pick anything here, like that one. Yeah, I know it doesn't support JavaScript, but
I ain't got no money,
it works. And this unit has, we'll shut this thing down here before we get hit with copyright. This has stereo speakers in it, so it actually, as a radio, like using this just to listen to music, not bad, and stereo sound. Anyway, that's working. Now it should shut off now. Okay, that's shut off. Now if I go into like Netflix, I'm looking for Netflix, looking for the big N. Oh, there it is. And should log into my account. And there it is.
It's about bucking the media's opinion as to what constitutes a good parent. Deciding to miss
this
the ball
unit has a really good, like for a phone, this has a really good picture. It doesn't show up so well in here because it's very bright in here, and this is a very dark scene. This has an OLED screen. The picture quality off of this is really, really good. One thing about these old phones is that they have an HDMI port. So I can plug a micro HDMI to HDMI adapter in and plug this into any television. So even if I don't have a TV that's got Netflix built in, like if I don't have a smart TV, I don't have a Fire Stick or whatever, I can use this to watch Netflix on any TV, which is kind of neat. Anyway, it's up and running. Kind of useless, I know, obsolete technology by today's standards, but hey, they set the bar for what smartphones became, and you got to give them credit for that. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.